for the longest time, corporate innovation felt like a synonym for, well, expensive failure.
Right.
We all remember those internal accelerators, huge budgets, projects that just sort of vanished without a trace.
Yeah.
It always seemed like a massive gamble.
A very high-risk one, absolutely. Speculative.
Yeah, but there's new data coming out now looking specifically at corporate venture building in 2025. And it suggests that old way of thinking, it's pretty much out the window.
Things have definitely changed.
So our mission in this deep dive is to really unpack these latest findings on corporate venture building, or CVB. We're focusing on two key drivers here. Experience, what the sources call serial builders, and of course, artificial intelligence.
AI is everywhere.
Exactly. And how these two are just fundamentally rewriting the playbook on ROI and, how fast these new ventures can actually succeed.
That's spot on. The information we're digging into today comes mostly from a really detailed 2025 report by McKinsey's business building practice, plus some related internal strategy docs. They've analyzed a huge global data set on how big companies launch new businesses.
Okay.
And what really jumps out is that CVB is it's growing up. It's moving from being this kind of unpredictable art form into something more like a scalable, predictable science.
A science, interesting.
Yeah. New ventures need way less cash to get going. They're hitting profitability faster. And there's this undeniable link between using AI smartly and how much revenue these ventures actually pull in.
Okay, let's get into that then. Start with the financials, because if CVB is really maturing, the numbers should show it, right?
Yeah.
Moving away from just being cost centers.
Absolutely. And the success rate itself is, well, it's finally crossed a kind of psychological hurdle. For years, the share of ventures meeting or beating growth targets was stuck around, say, 43, 44%. Now it's up to 47%, getting close to that 50% mark. It signals that companies are actually learning how to do this better across the board.
Almost half are succeeding,
Yeah.
so better. But is success just surviving, or are they actually, thriving? Are we seeing real scale, and are they getting there faster?
Oh, much faster scaling. It's quite remarkable. Get this, 61% of new corporate ventures are now reporting annual revenues over $10 million.
61%.
Yeah. And if you just look back to 2023, only 2 years ago, that number was 45%. That's a huge jump in hitting those key milestones.
Okay, that's a big shift.
And it's not just the amount, it's the speed. The average time it takes for a venture to hit that $10 million plus revenue mark, it's shrunk. Used to be around 38 months.
Right.
Now it's down to about 31 months.
So shaving off nearly 7 months.
Exactly. 7 months quicker to scale.
In the venture world, 7 months is like an eternity. That speed is impressive,
Yeah.
but speed usually costs, right?
What about the investment needed? Because that's always been the big sticking point. Well, this is maybe the most surprising finding in the whole report. The capital efficiency has gone through the roof. Just last year, 2024, the weighted average investment needed for a new venture to hit cash flow break-even.
Yeah.
It was around $125 million.
Hold on, $125 million. That was the average cost just last year to get a corporate venture off the ground and breaking even.
That was the figure, yes.
Okay, so what is it now in the 2025 data?
It has plummeted to just $77 million.
Seriously, 77 from 125. That's nearly a $50 million drop. That completely changes the risk calculation, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, asking for $77 million versus $125 million, that's a different conversation internally. Less career ending, maybe.
Precisely. It makes it a much more palatable risk. And to give that $77 million some context, the sources figured out it's only about 2% of what the main company needs in annual revenue just to break even itself.
Wow, relatively small.
Very relative, yes.
Yeah.
And they're reaching profitability really fast. The majority, 60% break even within the first 2 years, about 22% in year one, another 38% in year two.
60% within 2 years. That's incredibly fast for a new business line inside a big company. Does this kind of efficiency, this lower cost, change the internal politics around funding these things? Less fighting for scraps.
The sources don't quite map out the internal battles, but they do spotlight a group that's hyper-efficient. These are the ventures focused purely on data or intellectual property, the really asset-light models.
Okay.
Nearly a third of those broke even with less than $1 million invested.
Under $1 million.
Yes. They pretty much bypassed the big budget fights by getting into the black almost immediately.
That makes the hurdle almost negligible for those types. Okay, so the economics are way better. Who's actually achieving this? Is it random, or is there a pattern to who's getting these kinds of results?
There's definitely a pattern. When you look at who's driving this success and efficiency, the data points again and again to this group they call serial builders.
Serial builder.
Okay, what defines them?
It's companies that have launched 3 or more distinct ventures in the last 5 years. They've built up a kind of organizational muscle memory. So practice makes perfect, basically.
Yeah.
Companies that just try it once don't have that same playbook.
Exactly. They lack that ingrained capability, and the difference in returns is pretty stark.
How stark? What's the measurable benefit?
Okay, so serial builders generate 1.9 times the revenue for every dollar they invest up to the break-even point.
Okay, 1.9x.
Compare that to companies launching just 1 or 2 ventures, they only get about 1.3 times the revenue back for each dollar. That's a big difference in efficiency.
Yeah, nearly 50% more efficient return.
And it scales up to the whole company's strategy. Nearly 59% actually of these serial builders say their venture portfolio kicks in more than 10% of the total company revenue.
Right.
For the less experienced companies, the ones with just 1 venture, only 32% say it contributes that much.
Wow. So for the serial builders, it's becoming a real significant part of the business, not just an experiment.
It's a core growth engine for them.
So if they have this experience, this playbook, what are they actually doing differently to lower the risk? Are they just better at picking ideas, or is it how they execute?
It seems to be more about smart execution than pure blue sky invention. 2 main strategies really stand out in the data.
Okay.
First, they get really good at leveraging existing company assets, things the core business might not be fully utilizing. 72% who did this reported above average growth. Find hidden gems internally.
Makes sense. Unlock existing value. What's the second one?
Second, they often adopt business models that are already proven elsewhere, maybe in another market or industry, instead of trying to invent everything from scratch inside the corporate walls.
Right, like the classic example people mention is JP Morgan Chase launching Chase UK.
Yeah.
They didn't try to replicate their US branch model, right? They looked at successful digital-first neobanks.
Exactly. They took that proven digital model and then layered their corporate scale, trust, and security on top. Smart adaptation, not risky invention.
And are they sticking close to home with these ventures, or going far afield?
Interestingly, they seem to be staying closer. In 2025, 6 out of 10 respondents said they launched ventures within their primary industry. That's up from about half the year before.
So focusing on what they know best seems to be paying off.
It seems to improve the odds, yeah. Less unknown territory.
Okay, let's shift gears to the powerhouse behind a lot of this efficiency. That huge drop in break-even cost $125 million down to $77 million. That doesn't just happen. It feels like AI has to be the main engineer here.
Oh, absolutely. You can't explain that kind of leap without AI. It's gone from being a nice-to-have tool to, well, almost like a required co-founder for these ventures.
A co-founder, I like that.
The data here is probably the strongest case you could make for AI investment right now. There's a direct link between how sophisticatedly a venture uses AI and its financial success. It's almost tiered.
How so?
Ventures coming from companies that are advanced AI users report revenues twice as large as those from basic AI users.
Twice as large, okay.
And get this, 4 times as large as ventures from companies not using AI at all.
4 times. It's not just correlation, that's a massive competitive edge.
It's the core differentiator, it seems. And it lets these teams operate incredibly leanly. It really decouples the value they create from the number of people they employ.
Right, breaking that traditional link between headcount and output.
There's a great example in the sources, this company Base44, an AI coding startup. It got acquired for $80 million.
Okay, decent exit.
But when they were acquired, they had only 8 employees.
8. For an $80 million company.
8 people. That's the kind of leverage advanced AI gives you. You can build these incredibly valuable businesses with tiny teams. It's a force multiplier.
That's incredible. So how are companies using AI differently now in venture building? Is it still just about, automating back-end stuff or making workflows more efficient?
That was more the focus in the past, enhancing efficiency, monitoring how fast things were scaling once they were built.
Right.
But the shift now, or at least the expected focus going forward, is much more fundamental. It's about using AI to build entirely new ventures where AI is the core value proposition.
So AI isn't just helping the business, AI is the business.
Increasingly, yes. Or it's being used right at the beginning to refine the actual value proposition, to validate the initial concepts. It's moving upstream in the innovation process.
Can you give an example of AI driving that core operational value?
Sure. Think about an operational intelligence company mentioned. They used AI analytics in agriculture and fuels. The AI helped make much better decisions, unlocking potentially $1 billion or more in annual value per product line, just through smarter, faster analysis.
$1 billion.
Yeah.
Okay, that's impact. What about customer-facing stuff? Is AI changing things there too?
Definitely. Take customer service, especially in high-pressure situations. There was a European roadside assistance company.
Okay.
They put in an AI triage system. It predicts what kind of help someone needs when they call. The system improved prediction accuracy by 63%.
63% better at guessing the problem.
Yeah, and for certain specific types of cases, it got to 100% accuracy. Think about what that does. Gets the right help out faster, saves costs, improves the customer experience dramatically.
Huge operational gains.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got the financial shift, the power of being a serial builder, and this AI turbocharge.
Yeah.
It feels like the basics. Having a C-suite sponsor, getting dedicated funding, those are just the entry ticket now. Everyone knows you need those.
They're table stakes, exactly. Necessary but not sufficient anymore.
So what are the new differentiators? What really separates the winners in this 2025 landscape?
Well, if the money's less of an issue and the tech, like AI, is becoming more accessible, you have to look at the softer factors.
Like culture.
People.
Exactly. And the number one single most common attribute the sources found among companies with successful ventures. It was a culture that actively encourages risk-taking and experimentation.
That was number one. More than funding or tech.
Number one, a 68% correlation between that culture and venture success. Wow. Culture eats strategy and apparently funding for breakfast. Why is culture suddenly so critical now, more than maybe before?
Well, think about it. If a venture can break even at $77 million instead of $125 million, the financial risk is lower. The real risk becomes organizational. Do people feel safe enough to try something new, to pivot if it's not working, without fearing failure will kill their career?
Right. If failure is punished, nobody's going to take even a calculated $77 million risk.
Precisely. You need that permission to experiment. And alongside culture, it's about investing in your people. Talent is key.
How so?
Successful builders are much more likely to have active upskilling programs. 52% of successful ventures had them versus only 42% of the unsuccessful ones. You need the right culture, but you also need people who can actually use the advanced tech, the AI, the digital platforms.
So culture and capability together. It sounds like despite maybe economic headwinds elsewhere, corporate venture building isn't being shelved. It's staying important strategically.
The data confirms that. Even while cost-cutting is a priority for 41% of executives, building new ventures remains a top priority for almost the same number, 39%.
That's fascinating. Growth is nearly as important as saving money, even now.
It seems leaders recognize they need these new growth engines, maybe now more than ever.
And where are they focusing these future venture efforts?
Overwhelmingly, it's data and AI. Looking ahead, 56% of the companies surveyed plan to build data, analytics, or AI-driven businesses within the next 5 years. That's where they see the big opportunities.
Following the efficiency gains we just talked about. And presumably, they expect these ventures to contribute more to the bottom line now.
Yeah, they have much higher expectations. Historically, these venture portfolios contributed, on average, about 12% of the total company revenue.
Okay.
Leaders are now projecting that contribution will rise significantly, up to around 19% in the next 5 years. They really believe in these new, more predictable economics.
19%. That's a serious chunk of revenue coming from new builds. Okay, this has been incredibly insightful. So wrapping up the key takeaways for you listening, it seems clear. CVB is faster, cheaper, and more successful than it used to be, largely thanks to AI driving efficiency.
Definitely.
Being a serial builder, having that experience and playbook, is the proven way to get better ROI and lower the risk.
Practice pays off.
And maybe the most critical piece now, culture. The permission to experiment, to take risks. That seems to be the real secret sauce internally.
Which leads to a really interesting final thought, doesn't it? If the average investment needed has dropped so much down to $77 million, and the biggest predictor of success is this cultural willingness to try and maybe fail, then money isn't really the hardest part anymore for many big companies.
Right.
So it makes you wonder, in today's world of corporate innovation, is capital still truly the scarcest resource?
Yep.
Or is the real bottleneck organizational courage?